I want to welcome everybody to the NLX Extra Mile podcast. I'm Bruce Porter from SWAT Marketing Solutions. We're here in Venture X in Parsippany, New Jersey, and today we have the pleasure of having Anita Marsh. I want to welcome Anita, and we're going to have a really good discussion today on the advantages of hiring a bookkeeper, okay, for many small to mid-sized businesses. A lot of people think you don't need a bookkeeper, but I'm here to tell you that that's not true, and Anita's here to tell you the same thing. So Anita, why don't you take it away, and why don't you tell us why, or at least one of the components of why it's important to have a bookkeeper?
So one of the components is we help take care of the weekly or monthly bookkeeping so that the small business owner doesn't have to do it themselves and that they're not paying the accountant to do it themselves. This way it gives the accountant more time to do tax planning versus wondering if what expense belongs in what area. And it also allows us to do the reconciliations and the accountant not to worry about if the books are reconciled or not.
How many accountants really want to do bookkeeping?
Probably like 0.001.
And the reason for that is, do you think?
That's not where their focus is. They really went to school to learn tax and not bookkeeping.
Gotcha.
But in order for tax planning to happen, you need to know where every expense belongs on the profit and loss and where it needs to belong on the balance sheet, which is a big issue. A lot of bookkeepers don't even look at the balance sheet, but we look at the balance sheet and we talk to the accountant about what's on that balance sheet.
So you have regular conversations then with the accountant?
We work in hand with the accountants. We don't take over their job. We don't want to be accountants. And just like the accountants that we work with don't want to be bookkeepers.
Okay, so your job is made a lot more difficult if you are dealing with a very disorganized individual then.
Actually, we love disorganized individuals.
Okay.
Because it's a great project and we help
Right.
to teach them what they need to be doing on a regular basis. And we put them on a regular, streamlined production on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly basis, which means we'll take care of their bookkeeping as well as doing their checks, making their weekly deposits. We just had a client we had to have a conversation with that he put in a refund from his insurance company and his deposit as an income. It's not income. That's a refund.
Gosh.
So
Wow.
why would you capture $600 as an income? It's not.
Wow.
So those are things we capture, whereas an accountant never would have had time to capture that.
So if an accountant doesn't capture that, then they're paying tax on that money.
Correct.
Wow. Well, there's a value add right there. I don't How much time, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but how much time does a client have to spend when they hire you and you take over their bookkeeping? How much time do they have to allocate to sitting with you every month or every week, okay, to reconcile their books? Or do you take everything under your own onus?
That's a great question. So we have clients who do under an hour a month of our bookkeeping services to clients that are up to about 15 hours a week on bookkeeping experience. Most people will help us by giving us screenshots of like receipts when they're out. So the more information they give us on a regular basis, the less questions we have to ask. But on a regular basis, we will ask them a bunch of questions.
So at the end of that week or day or month, when you go into that client's office, do they keep a box of receipts there for you, or do they do this, or do you train them to do this on an ongoing basis?
We train them to do this on an ongoing basis. So
Right.
we do allow our clients to have our cell phone numbers or emails, and they text us when they're out, for especially for big purchases, and they'll screenshot the receipt to us so that they don't have to worry about, did they remember to give it to us? Because a lot of our clients are virtual. We have clients from Maine to Florida.
Okay.
Including most of New Jersey.
Okay.
So they don't want to have to worry about whether they sent us a receipt or not. So they'll screenshot a picture of the receipt to us, and then we print it and put it in their file. So if they're ever audited, we have a copy of that.
Terrific. Okay. All right. And what percentage of your clients, when you say bookkeeping encompasses a lot of things. Do you also pay their bills?
We can do anything from pay the bills to just do a monthly bank reconciliation and everything in between. So we really customize what each individual client needs.
Okay. So it's probably in their best interest to let you take over everything, simply because when you're in control, you know exactly where everything is allocated and you know exactly what's in the account at any given time.
We love working, especially with the small business owners that just started up, because we make sure their balance sheet is correct with the amount of money that they put in to start their business, which, as you're shaking your head, most small businesses don't capture how much they put in to start their business. You cannot pull that money out tax-free if you do not have it properly recorded on your balance sheet.
Right, and you can't, it's too difficult to go back in time at the end of the year and reconcile all of that.
Correct.
Right, so it's a lot easier to do it as you go along.
So that's one of the reasons why we don't have a minimum on our retainers.
Okay.
So we want to help the small business owners have their books in order right from the get-go.
Okay.
And that helps us be able to help protect them when it comes to tax returns and tax audits.
So let's talk about taxes for a minute. It's another good topic you bring up. If a business owner has employees and non-employees, what's the difference?
There's a huge difference. So the IRS standard is if somebody receives more than 75% of their income from one place, they're considered a full-time employee.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
So anybody over that needs to be a W-2 employee. Anybody under that can receive a 1099. A 1099 is given to anybody who earns over $600 in a year, in a 12-month calendar year.
And that's the business owner's responsibility to produce that 1099.
That's the business owner's responsibility, and that becomes the bookkeeper's responsibility. So we do not write a check, doesn't matter how much it is, without having all the documentation from that one specific vendor, because we don't know if during the year they're going to receive another check that would push them over the $600 limit.
I see. Okay. All right. And what if that individual worked for the company for a period of time, left the company, and you can't find that individual because they moved out of state or whatever? How do you get them their 1099?
We don't write a check to anybody without having all of their proper documentation. So if they move, the onus is then on them.
Okay.
Because we take their original Social Security number, their address, and email address. So if they move, then the onus then becomes on them.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
But you need to have all that documentation in order to be able to produce a 1099.
Gotcha. Okay. So you turn over those 1099s then to the individuals or to the accountant when you produce the 1099s?
Both.
Okay.
So we work with the accountants. Most accountants do not like to do 1099s.
Okay.
So we then produce the 1099s for the accountants and send them out, and then give them the actual hard copies of who we sent 1099s to.
Okay, interesting. What other services did you leave out any services? What other services does a bookkeeper provide other than what we just talked about?
So we help with a lot of attorneys, and we
Okay.
do a lot of trust accounting,
Okay.
which is a 3-part accounting, and it's much different than a regular reconciliation.
Okay.
We help you with the audits that you would receive from the state.
Okay.
We also help anywhere from just your plain bank reconciliation at the end of the month to doing your bank deposits and writing your checks on a weekly basis.
So attorneys would be good clients for you then?
Attorneys are great clients.
Right.
We also help with payroll. We're not HR specialists,
Okay.
but a lot of small companies don't have an HR person because they don't need one. So when they're onboarding a new client, we help with all the paperwork, we help with the payroll, and we help when an employee leaves. we help onboard them, which is, there's a lot of paperwork that's involved when an employee leaves a company.
Oh, I can imagine. You must save them a considerable amount of money, especially attorneys. Okay, when you're doing all of this work.
We save them a lot of billable hours. A lot of times the partners falls onto the main partner to take care of all the bookkeeping. And when they don't have to do it, we save them a substantial amount of money.
I can only imagine. Okay.
And then it lets them focus on growing their business versus having to deal with the day-to-day bookkeeping industry.
That's terrific. Well, Anita, I want to thank you so much for giving us that insight and that information. And now that it's clear what a W-2 employee is versus a 1099 employee, and anybody who really needs to take a look at their bookkeeping, Anita, how does everybody get in touch with you?
So it's Anita at AMRbusinesssolutions.com, and our phone number is 973-946-8401.
Anita, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is another episode of the NLX Extra Mile podcast. I'm Bruce Porter from SWAT Marketing Solutions, here with Anita Marsh from AMR Business Solutions. I got her name right this time, okay? But I want to thank you and look forward to another exciting episode. Take care and have a great day.